Hey there, and welcome to today's video on how to communicate and find reliable, good suppliers on AliExpress or Alibaba in 2024. Now, this is for beginners. Okay, now this will be linked down below. You can get this. This is just what I've made. Basically, it'll include templates, and I'm going to go through and make you aware of the things to be aware of when you're going down this path. Okay, these are important things that I suggest you know now rather than later, because it always comes to bite you. Okay, this is not hard stuff, right? Now I'm going to explain for those the difference between Alibaba and AliExpress. Alibaba is more a step two. AliExpress is for businesses starting out, businesses that are new, drop shipping businesses. It works really, really well for. Alibaba is more for an established business that might have been around for at least a couple of months, right? You generally would start with, a lot of people, depending on your budget, you would start with AliExpress and move to Alibaba. I personally recommend, if you really want to get your business started from the get-go, really, really strong, then you use Alibaba. But the difference is you need more capital up front because you're buying the product. Okay, so AliExpress is really good when you have limited capital because you don't have to buy the product. You can buy it after you've gotten an order and then fulfill it through AliExpress. Whereas Alibaba, you bulk order the product and then get it shipped to a destination, whether it's a 3PL, third-party logistics, your home, wherever you decide to ship that to then get it fulfilled accordingly. But you can understand that one is a more risky approach, especially for people starting. And then as this is a beginner video, I'm going to explain more of that. Okay, so the important things to be aware of, and as I said, get this because it'll have the template, and I'm going to explain it for you now. You want to go to 3 suppliers on AliExpress. Okay, we're going to start with AliExpress. I've also got a template for Alibaba. You'll find they're very similar. That you want to find the best product quality. Now, how do you do that? And it comes down to a few things, right? Best price and best reliability are the 3 things you want to look for. Why? Because it presents itself, I didn't add it really, but best shipping times really too. I will add that in right now, actually. I apologize. I just realized that as I did this. Best shipping and fulfillment times. Okay, those things are important, and I didn't obviously include that. But those are the 4 things you really want to look for. But I look at, to me, the 2 of those 4 that are most important to me, because shipping fulfillment can always be fixed, reliability and product quality. Okay, all of these can be fixed, okay, to some extent. So you want to go to 3 suppliers and see if you can get the best product quality, best price, reliability, and shipping fulfillment time. So that's where you want to essentially use this template that I've made. And I've just put hi, and you put name. So you put the supplier's name, the company name, my name is, and put your name in. So once you copy this, make it like into a Google Doc or something, and just put your details in so you can just copy paste, right? So it doesn't take you as long. From company name, put your business name. I'm interested in using your company to fulfill our products we have on your website URL. I really recommend that you don't have your website in password protected. Most people will be on Shopify. The reason being is it adds credibility. Part of the reason you have this is having your company name, website URL. You're also trying to pitch to suppliers why they're worth your time, right? They get a lot of bad actors. Come to them on a daily basis. Like anything in business, you want reliable business. So coming across doing it like this, you come off as a serious, reliable business person. And so that's really, really important. And I really recommend you do that. It makes such a big difference. They will take you far more seriously, and they'll give you far more attention. We're looking to, and this is where I add in, we're looking to scale our product and need a reliable supplier who can help keep up with the demand. We are anticipating 50 plus orders a day for this product. Now, notice that I don't put in the time frame. Okay, you want to sound really good, but don't give an exact time frame because they might hold you to it. I've seen that before, but need to make sure we have capacity to fulfill those. And I didn't put on the end, fulfill those orders adequately. Okay, we're interested in using your company to help with that, but we want to clarify a few things. Now, asking questions is a good thing because we're looking at these top things. We want quality, price, reliability. There's a lot of bad actor suppliers out there. AliExpress is basically just a marketplace for Chinese suppliers to then connect with the Western world. And they do a lot of drop shipping and so on and so forth, because that's basically a marketplace for them where they have a warehouse of their product, but then AliExpress is their marketing platform basically to connect with prospects. Can you do 50 orders a day? What type of volume-based discounts do you provide? Always ask for a discount, right? If you're doing 50 orders a day, I'd be looking at probably a 5 to 10% discount per order that comes through. You can get more on Alibaba and stuff, but you always want to ask it, okay? Don't be afraid to put your best step forward, right? You are the customer and you are entitled to it. They're getting reliable sales. They know the value of that. It makes more sense, okay? And don't be afraid to look at contracts as well. Do you offer custom packaging? That again is really important for branding as well as custom branding. So packaging is the package, the branding is your brand logo on the product, right? Really, really important stuff. I always ask those questions because a lot of suppliers don't, but the really damn good ones do, right? And because they know the value of it, because a lot of AliExpress suppliers that are really good are also on Alibaba. Okay, so keep that in mind that you can also find really good suppliers on AliExpress that are also on Alibaba, right? Because they want the best of both worlds, naturally. More business is always better than less. What are your average fulfillment, time frames? Is it? I've literally seen it where some might take 2 weeks to fulfill it, right? That's insane. Okay, in an ideal world, you don't want to get chargebacks, you don't want to get refunds, you don't want to get angry customers, right? And it's just the right thing to do. You ideally want it within 1 to 2 business days. That's pretty standard. People generally expect that, right? If it's like at 3 o'clock in the afternoon in your time zone, you don't expect that product to be fulfilled within that day, but really great companies will have amazing processes and they nearly do, and you'll be blown away, right? And imagine if that's your customer, right? You want them to be blown away because that's going to cause you repeat business, which is a very important element in business in 2024. Always has been, and it's even more important as the cost of running a business is only getting more expensive. Whether it's a drop shipping business or a brick and mortar business, or whether it's just you have an online business and you have product fulfillment, it's a really important thing, okay? Will each order be provided tracking? Again, really important, right? A lot of people don't ask that question. So many people don't provide order tracking. Who doesn't buy and want order tracking when they buy something now? It's pretty standard, right? Most will say yes. And can I get a free sample, right? If you're looking for good suppliers, ask for a sample. Good ones that respect that relationship will say yes. If they don't, that's fine too. Try and get a sample, right, of the product, because you want to confirm a few things. I'm going to get to that. And how big is your company? Is it 1 or 2 man team, or is it a 20, 30 man team? You're going to probably, in my experience, get a better experience with a company that's more established. Yes, with the 1 and 2, you're going to have a more personal relationship, but with the bigger ones, they'll have more buying power. They'll have usually a warehouse, and they'll be fulfilling orders. So they'll have a pretty concrete process. Okay, so because fulfillment, if you can get that done within 1 to 2 business days, that's a huge win, because obviously with drop shipping, depending on where it goes, it can be a couple of weeks or even longer, right? So whatever you do, you want to try and control. And that's why you reach out to 3, because this is where, and that's just the end of the template. Feel free to customize it to what you feel is best, but that's sort of how I do it, okay? The template, why it's important, I want to explain that, right? First thing is their English good or bad, right? We're speaking to people that are Chinese. They either speak Mandarin or Cantonese a lot of the time, I believe. And, many of them, like in these countries, English is a secondary language, and that's fine. It's just, for part of reliability for me is being able to converse with them comfortably, right? A lot of them will jump on calls and stuff as well, and if you have issues, you need to be able to communicate that, okay? So that's something that I generally recommend a lot of people overlook, and my experience is when you don't look at that, when something goes wrong, which they do, especially if you're doing drop shipping as a starting point, you have very limited options. The downside, one of the pitfalls with drop shipping is that you don't have control over the fulfillment, you don't have control over the shipping times, right? It's because you're basically just having someone do that through AliExpress for you, and so you have a bit of trust that they're going to do it, and naturally they will, because they want a good review, right? But in a lot of cases, there can be a lot of issues. So it's just something to preemptively understand. And by having good communication is really important. Are there a supplier who can handle large volume orders? That's why I also ask that. Some suppliers can't, right? If they're a 1 or 2 man team, 50 orders a day is quite a lot, right? And they might have a number of clients. So that naturally they'll want to diversify their clients. So that can be quite bad for you. If they're a team of 20 and 30, they're very used to that, right? That's no small fish. So do they reply quickly? To me, I've always been an advocate for a fast response, and a clear response is someone you can usually depend on. It's like that first impression thing. So I always recommend that look for response times. Some that won't ever respond, it's pretty simple, right? Say they're not a good supplier. If they can't even respond to a message, how are they going to be good when you actually try and sell them and order through them, right? It's just some small little things you can use as a bit of psychology to take advantage of the situation to make sure that you have more within your control and power. Okay, because really what we're trying to aim at here is a great customer experience while enhancing your business and trying to get repeat customers, because that's where the big cash lies, right? If you don't have to pay if you have to constantly pay for new customers, your business will eventually fall over because it becomes too saturated. Whereas when you get repeat customers, that's what keeps you afloat, right? Repeat business is the number one driver of real actual growth, because you're not really paying for it, You might, anyway, I'm getting off topic, pardon me. Your base fulfillment timeframes and shipping timeframes, and when things go wrong, you can quote it. You want to have on your website, right? That you want to be transparent about 1 to 2 days fulfillment times, and you don't want it to be 2 weeks. You want to know that, right? Because otherwise people will hold you to that, right? Because you are marketing to them what's on your page, and you want to make sure you're being transparent about that. And then, with your shipping times as well, you want to be transparent about that as to, their specific country. I always say, under promise, over deliver. Okay, never over promise, under deliver. A lot of people have the habit when starting of trying to over promise and then you under deliver. It actually is a very bad thing, right? Always try and under promise, over deliver. Obviously, you do whatever you can to help grow your business, but these are just things that you will find that as you build your business, that will eventually crop up. Customizing your products, right? I always love suppliers who can customize your products. Most do, right? And most will probably just work with another partner who can do that with them. But, have your logo on your product makes a big difference, right? You think about everything in our lives. We love having logos on our brands that we follow, and it's the same here, right? So customizing does cost extra. I'm not saying you have to do it, but it's something that you should be considering, especially if you're doing 50 plus orders a day. Customize that product, because that's something that no one else can touch. Okay, your logo, your branding, your packaging is you. No matter who comes into that space to sell a similar product, this is you. This is your message. This is your ethos. This is your brand. And getting a discount. If you want to try and get a discount, always try and get a discount if you can from suppliers. They might say, a lot of the times they'll come back with, until you're doing 20 orders a day or through us, we can't do that. But what they will do a lot of the time is, if you are and you show that and you prove that, then they'll make you a custom sort of page. They'll duplicate it. That's sort of like a private one that just has the pricing for you to purchase through there. Okay, so that's sort of how that works on AliExpress. And that's pretty much it, right? That's AliExpress. That's the starting point. Now, there's plenty of fulfillment tools out there that you can use as well. And I don't think they're bad, right? I'm a big advocate for automation, but I'm also want to make it clear that in the beginning, don't go straight for the automation, right? Do it manually. You will learn the most. If you do it all automated, okay, while it sounds great and all, you won't learn these fundamentals which really help you long term. Because most people that are starting their business, whether it's dropshipping, online retail, brick and mortar, whatever that looks like, small business, from home, whatever, you want to be a brand, don't you? Everyone starts somewhere, that's fine, and you eventually want to be a brand, because that's just where the big cash lies, right? That's where the real growth potential lies. And so doing some things manually in the beginning, I always recommend doing, because you always should do something manual before doing something automated, right? Because you're not going to automate it very well if you don't know the ins and outs of it. So doing something manually, you will learn the ins and outs and then automate it. There's plenty of fulfillment tools out there. You just have to Google it. There's plenty of 3PLs out there. You can just Google it, right? So Moving on, we have the Alibaba strategy. Now, again, to explain, Alibaba is basically AliExpress, but B2B, business to business. And this is where, as like I build my brands and that, I will bulk order, right? So like one of my old brands, pardon me, was a brand that was selling t-shirts around cats and those types of things. It wasn't print on demand. I actually bought the t-shirts and did the actual printing, which was quite an experience. And basically bought them through AliExpress, right? Because you get Gildan, you can get all the different types of brands of t-shirts out there. Now, when it comes to like t-shirts, you don't just want any t-shirt, right? Like, you know, you feel the difference, you know, the fabric, the longevity, and so on, right? So again, you do the same thing. You want to get samples, okay? And you want to find really, really good suppliers, right? Bloody good suppliers. And you'll find really good suppliers will also recommend you other good suppliers too, because it's like, you know, scratch each other's back, right? That's just logical. But especially when you're buying in volume, in bulk, you're taking quite a risk, right? So this is why I recommend this as more sort of a step 2 for a lot of people. If you've got the budget, and you know your product, you know your industry, and you're in it for the long term, I definitely recommend going straight to Alibaba. If you're on a limited budget, you're starting and you're a complete beginner, you're not sure what to do, don't do Alibaba, right? Okay, start with AliExpress, use that template, and then move to Alibaba as your business starts to grow, business starts to evolve, and you have more confidence in running your business accordingly. As I said, much of them are on AliExpress and Alibaba, so this is why I use a similar template. The only questions that are really different is, do you have a dedicated account manager? A lot of them do, especially because Alibaba, you know, it's no joke that people buy $100,000 worth of stock or more, right? I'm not saying you do, but you know, a lot of your orders will be at least $500, and that's not including logistical costs, okay? Because you actually have to then ship that bulk order quantity to X location. Okay, so I remember for me, one of my Australian brands that I was running, I remember that the shipping costs was costing me like $2,500 a time, and then I had custom imports tax here in Australia, which was about another 10%, you know, just for them to release it from the ports. Okay, so these are things that you sort of have to factor in, and that's why having a really good supplier and getting samples and stuff, because you don't want to buy a product that's crap and then you've spent thousands of dollars just to even get it to the said destination, to find that the whole batch is bad, right? So again, you want to get a sample, right? And most on B2B, Alibaba will give a sample because they know that people want to verify that the base product that they're trying to sell is good. And I know that means it takes longer in terms of that, you know, you have to wait for the product verify and all of that, but that's what part of building a brand is about, right? You know, you want to vet these things. In the interim, when that happens, keep using AliExpress so you can fulfill those orders daily while investing into Alibaba and transition to that, right? So you look at this as probably a 1 to 3 month transitional strategy, okay, as you focus on growing the business and also improving your lifetime value. Is your product made in China, right? Like where in China, right? There's a lot of different areas in China where your product can be made. It's no joke that a lot of actual, especially on AliExpress, a lot of AliExpress, they're actual just single merchants, and they just actually drop ship from another warehouse through them, right? It's just purely that they do it as a form of business. You ideally want to go straight to the warehouse. That's where Alibaba's better. Most of the time you'll go straight to the warehouse and have like an account manager and stuff as well. Again, and then you have the other questions of, can you do 50 orders a day, fulfillment times, tracking. Now, the tracking is, again, that one's for you because you're buying in bulk. You'll be sending it to a warehouse or some fulfillment destination, okay? Because you're not sending it straight to the customer. You can do that, right? For, let's say, if you've got a customer that wanted a large bulk order, right? But like generally 99% of the time, it's always best just to send it straight to, like I've used a lot of 3PL related services. I've done self-fulfillment and it's been interesting, but I guess I prefer 3PL because it is a bit more expensive. 3PL, again, third-party logistics. I've used ShipBob as an example. Another one was Borderless 360. And basically, send it to there. There's a packing cost. There's a warehouse inventory fee. So these are some additional fees that chew into things. So you can see why why I'm just trying to teach you these things, because it will hurt you. You won't expect these costs, but they will come into play. When was your company established, right? I always ask that, okay? And at times I even ask, what's your website and stuff? Because many of them have their own website and stuff too, because they, use Alibaba as just a medium. And what certifications does your company have? Like certifications as in their industry, they might have certain certifications. If you're especially trying to sell an item that's in the skincare, something related to health, something related to medication, something you ingest, you want to make sure that a lot of the time they have some form of certifications, right? And I actually do a bit of a fact check on this because, especially when it comes to items about our health, like let's say it's a t-shirt, right? And someone gets a bad experience. That's not going to have a negative impact on their actual health aside from they're dissatisfied in most cases, whereas something that you ingest can cause serious health implications. From a legal perspective, that's a terrible thing. A financial perspective, that's a terrible thing. And also it's just a terrible thing in general, right? You never want to hurt someone in a negative way. Okay, so that's what I sent. And what I usually look for is the really good suppliers, whether it's AliExpress or Alibaba, will usually respond within 24 hours. Give or take on weekends, a bit different, but I usually find 24 hours, okay? Usually some will respond within an hour or so that are really onto it because they know, right, in something like these platforms that there's like 50 other suppliers selling the same product or same type of product. They know that they want to put their best step forward. So use that to your advantage. Okay, so that's pretty much it from today's video. Again, I will, it has some links as well to join our community if you want support. We'll also have mentoring as well for a winner as well. We're starting to announce those too with myself. I really enjoy doing those. And if you have any other questions, be sure to just comment that down below. Otherwise, if you did like today's video and want more of this, please give me a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you very much for your time.